friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're here for the last video in the series 30 reviews in 30 days in September. Sadly, it's not book number 30, it's only book number 15. I wasn't able to make my goal, but I got halfway. This is book number 15. It is a really good place to end. I'm ending because the month is running out, but I'm also ending on a good note because I just finished Libertie by Kaitlyn Greenidge, and I really enjoyed it. It's not a perfect book. There are some writing flaws, I'm sure. Other reviewers have said as much, but I really enjoyed it. There were some moments of really beautiful writing in this book. So before I spend all my time gushing, let me tell you a little bit about what the book is about. So I read an e-copy from my library, so I don't have a copy to hold up, so I'm inserting a picture here. Libertie is a young black girl. She's 11 years old when we meet her, and her mother is a free homeopathic medical doctor. She's a free black woman. She is very light skinned, so she can pass. But Libertie is darker skinned, and so one of the things that we explore in this book is the different receptions that mother and daughter get from other people in the community, from white people especially, but also from other blacks. How different people respond to their different complexion, their different skin tones, and the judgments that other people make because the mother is so much lighter than the daughter. There's talk about who her father must have been and what her mother likes because the daughter is so dark. There's all that. Colorism is really a strong theme in this book. But for most of the first part of the story especially, we are seeing a young girl growing up and idolizing her mother, wanting to be like her mother, feeling so strong of a desire to be loved by her mother because she sees her mother being powerful, being successful in her medical career, and seeing her influence in other people's lives. But she feels like she's yearning for love from her mother. She's yearning to be the center of her mother's love and feeling like she'll never match up to the importance that science and the desire to help other people using science and medicine and supernatural means. So it's someone competing against concepts and ideas, which you never win because just like one person is never enough, I guess. But it's a really interesting exploration of the weight of love, what it means to love someone and not feel that love completely returned, but also the responsibility that you shoulder when you know that someone loves you in that way. And so we see this young girl growing up in her mother's world, her mother being the first black doctor in this part of the country. And did I mention this book is set, at least the first part of it is set in New York, in Brooklyn, during the period around the abolition of slavery. And this mother, she's based on a real historical figure, someone who, well, she's the first female black doctor, and she's helping people. She's helping to heal the bodies and also the spirits of people who have been escaping slavery and have been abolished, who've been emancipated. So there's a lot about this book, especially the first part of this book, to really enjoy. Later we see Libertie growing up and going after her own life. Her mother wants her to follow in her footsteps, but Libertie kind of rejects that just because I think she's comparing herself to her mother. She doesn't necessarily want to follow in her mother's footsteps. She wants to be her mother, if that makes sense. So she rejects some of her mother's dreams for her, and exchanges that for her own way, for making her own way, and also in the process making her own mistakes. So we see the desire for freedom and what that could mean when you want to go your own way. So we are seeing how people are escaping slavery. We're seeing how people are escaping bondage in lots of different ways. Bondage from slave masters, slave owners, and also the bondage of love and that weight that is put on us because of our response to other people. So I love this. There's some really beautiful sentences in this book, some beautiful poetry and poetic writing. We have a woman who is a scientist who rejects flowery words, and yet flowery words are said of her. There's a beautiful poem. There's a beautiful poem that the mother writes, but she says it's not a poem. She's describing her daughter and saying, my daughter is the only poem that I could ever write. And it's just beautiful to read. There's some beautiful moments. There's also a little bit of a discussion of appearances and what people do in order to avoid people knowing them so completely and maybe shunning parts of them. So I loved Libertie. I read an e-copy from the library and I feel like I want to own a copy from my shelves. Libertie has a Caribbean setting. There's a section where the main character, she grows up and she goes to Haiti. But I don't want to give too much about the book away. But the author is not of Caribbean descent. She's American. So I love the historical references that she paints into this book. The book being set in rural Brooklyn, not rural, but underdeveloped New York and Manhattan, and seeing the period right around the Civil War and how blacks, what are called colored people, how they respond to the war, the effects of war, and how it impacts them. There's a lot about this book to really enjoy. Yes, there are flaws. It's not a perfect book, but I really enjoyed it. And I hope you will too. If you've read Libertie, I'd love to chat with you in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you. And if something I said about the book now makes you want to pick it up, this is a book that is not brand new. You've probably seen it elsewhere, and maybe you've been curious about it and just never thought about picking it up. Pick it up. It is a coming of age story, so there's a lot of beauty in that. There's a lot about mother-daughter relationships, which is something that I have always been consumed by, because I was one of those people growing up and feeling like I want to be the center of my mother's attention, and I am, but it's like it's never enough, right? You just can never have enough of the thing that you desire. And now that I'm a mother myself to a daughter, no less, and sometimes when she clings to me and I'm with her all day and I put her down and she's upset, and I'm like, how much more of me do you want? She wants everything. And so I like seeing that. I really like seeing that portrayed, fictionalized, adopted for that story. I really like seeing that appear in the pages. And maybe that's why I have the response to the story that I do. So yeah, let me know if you read this book and let's chat about it. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. If you enjoyed the series, the 15, not quite 30 books that I reviewed here on the channel this month, let me know about that as well. And I hope you'll come back for the October reviews and the October series and the October festivities here on the channel. Would love to have you stick around or stay with me for all of that. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy reading. Bye.